Have you noticed over time your bags of chips are more and more full of air? Or maybe that the snacks you always buy suddenly seem smaller, even though the price looks exactly the same? You're not imagining it. This is the strategy many companies have been using for years to make you keep buying their products, while you don't notice that you're losing value on your favorite items because you never look at the weight. And this concept is often called shrinkflation. And in this video, you'll learn what it is, why companies do that instead of increasing price, and how you can protect yourself against it. Let's get into it. So let's start simple. Shrinkflation is when a company keeps the price the same, but quietly gives you less for the same product. In other words, instead of raising the number on the price tag, they reduce how much you get inside the package. I'll give you an example comparing shrinkflation to inflation. So let's say you buy a bag of chips for $5 that normally contains 100 grams. Pretty simple. But over time, instead of increasing the price to, let's say, $6 because production got more expensive, the company keeps the price at $5 and lowers the contents to 90 grams. At first glance, it looks like nothing changed, since most people won't notice a 10-gram difference. But in reality, you're paying more for less. That's shrinkflation. But now, let's use the same bag of chips example using inflation. You used to pay $5 for a 100-gram bag of chips, but now, production becomes more expensive. Here, instead of lowering the amount of chips, the business increases the price to $5.55 for a 100-gram. That's a typical inflation process. In your opinion, which one is harder to catch for a customer? Shrinkflation, of course. But you might be wondering, if it is so much more efficient, why don't all companies do that? The reason is simple. Not every company can, since some products are kind of hard to shrink. I mean, can you shrink a laptop? I doubt it. But in the other hand, you can definitely shrink a chocolate bar. And so this economic phenomenon works especially well with packaged goods. I'm talking snacks, cereal, candy, frozen food, drinks, paper products, soaps, and other things people buy quickly without checking the details every time. If a company sells something that already comes in a box, bottle, or bag, it becomes much easier to slightly reduce what's inside without people noticing immediately. Now you might be wondering why companies do that. Most of the time is because producing things becomes more expensive. Inflation, tariffs, transportation costs, higher wages, higher taxes, and many other economic reasons make it more and more expensive for businesses to produce nowadays. And so companies have to play with psychology to literally stay in business. Companies know that people hate price increases. Imagine seeing your favorite snack suddenly jump from $5 to $6 overnight. A lot of people would immediately think, nope, too expensive, and stop buying it. Price increases feel painful because they're obvious. Your brain literally notices instantly. The another reason is often competition. Imagine a grocery shelf with 10 similar products sitting side by side. If one company suddenly raises its price while everyone else still looks cheaper, customers may switch brands immediately. But if everyone keeps prices looking similar while slightly shrinking the product instead, they stay competitive without scaring customers away. So to be fair, shrinkflation isn't always some evil plan. Sometimes businesses genuinely are trying to survive rising costs without shocking customers with huge price jumps. If production suddenly becomes way more expensive, companies have limited choices to survive. But here's the more problematic issue. Sometimes shrinkflation stacks on top of inflation, and this is becoming very common. In other words, your bag of chips not only is smaller, but also more expensive. That leads us to the final point. How can you protect yourself as a customer? The magic answer is tracking. But not just the price, track the weight and quantity as well. Most stores show small numbers somewhere on the shelf, usually called the price per unit. Sometimes it says price per ounce, per gram, or per item. That tiny number tells you the real story. Because even if the main price stays the same, the cost per amount may quietly rise. For example, imagine product A costs $5 for 100 grams. Product B costs $3, but for 50 grams. Once you compare the actual amount you get, one of them is clearly more expensive. This tiny habit alone can save you money over time. It might only save you $5, $10, or just $20 per grocery trip, but in a year, it can lead to literally more than $1,000. And speaking of tracking, a small promotion here since you reached that far of the video. You'll find in the video description a few Amazon links to order budget planners for yourself to help you actually track your finances and see how much you start to save per trip or in value every time you buy similar goods. You'll be able to notice after 1 month how much you made in savings or how much more you gained for the same expenses. Using one of these links would also directly support the channel. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, kindly give a like to support the channel and watch one of the other videos showing on your screen right now for similar content. Thanks for watching.